To the fans out there, hey, tune in, tap that buy button, and get you a signed autographed Scottie Pippen unguarded memoir. And we're going to be here tonight talking about the book. So, hey, tune in, stay there.
Yeah, and it's a great book. It's a great book, man. I got to commend you. You know, you talked so much about the book when we sat down in June, July this summer, and we had that huge, explosive interview. And I was expecting some heat, and you brought some heat. Tell me
a little bit.
Just a little bit, a little wasabi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about why you wanted to do this book now, and like what was the impetus of the book?
Well, I mean, I felt like that I always wanted to tell my story a little bit about my career, about my coming up, being from a small town, and just how my journey went for me to get to the NBA. But, you know, along the last few months, I've had time to think about it and do a lot of thinking. And I got with my writer, Michael, and, you know, we just decided to put it together and get it out. And it was just, you know, it's something that I wanted to do, to be able to tell my story about, you know, what it was like growing up and trying to, you know, reach a dream that I felt like that, you know, was achievable, but just to let people know what the journey was like.
Yeah, and it was a rough journey, right? Hamburg to, you know, college to, you know, underrated the entire time, all the way to the NBA and becoming one of the defining players of multiple generations. Was there anything specifically you wanted to get across in the book? Was it your upbringing? Was it the Bulls? Was there anything, like one thing you wanted to get across?
No, I don't think it was really one thing. You know, it was a journey. A journey is not really about one specific thing. I think a lot of people have, you know, focused on the book trying to draw a lot from the relationships that, you know, was amongst our team. But the book is really not all about that.
Yeah. What's it about to you?
Excuse me?
If the book's not all about that, what's it about to you?
Well, it's about my whole journey. That's what it is. It's about what we set out to do, and that was tell about Scottie Pippen's journey and, you know, what it was like being a part of, you know, the youngest kid of 12, you know, dealing with the tragedy that, you know, happened in my life as a young age and, you know, throughout my college and my professional career.
Yeah. It was interesting because so much of that, which was enthralling, like all the tales from Arkansas and the dirt courts and everything like that, the first chapter deals with Michael Jordan and the text messages and everything like that. Did The Last Dance in that documentary, did it provoke this memoir by any chance, or how did this kind of line up?
I don't think it provoked it at all. This was going to happen eventually. But I think it did bring out a little bit about the documentary and some of the stories and things that was in it, for sure.
Since you started this journey, and obviously you've done this book tour, and, you know, you've done more and more talking about Michael Jordan, has he reached out to you at all? Have you talked to him?
I'm not talking about Michael Jordan. Now, I don't want it to be taken like that. I'm more or less talking about my journey, and I'm going to stay on that page. It's really about my life and my story and my career.
Yeah.
It's not a book to talk about Michael Jordan. It would have been a different book had it been that.
Yeah, for sure. A big part of the book and how it starts, a lot of it is that you wanted to knock down a lot of being, you know, distinguished as a sidekick, as the Robin to the Batman and everything like that. Why did that sort of get under your skin so much? Is it because you had so much pride as a player and what you were able to do?
Well, I don't think it got under my skin. I just wanted to let people know and set the record straight that I was as great a player as Michael Jordan. Only one player can take home the MVP, you know, and that's that. But beyond that, we were great teammates. We were great together. We supported each other, and we won together. There's no need to think that, you know, I was selfish in any way along that journey.
Yeah, you definitely didn't seem like it, but almost immediately the thing you said was that so much of this, the background noise, the press, you know, how they treated you in the 90s, the fans at a certain point, it felt condescending. It felt like you were this person and you had built this image for yourself with your play and your selflessness as a teammate, and everything else always got in the way. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I don't want to say things got in the way. That's just a part of life. Nothing is going to step aside and let you find your path. It's just a part of you trying to get to that certain point, and you're going to run into obstacles. And Scottie Pippen had obstacles in his life like everyone else.
What are those obstacles?
Read the book, you'll find out.
I've read the book, but
Well,
for somebody who
therefore, you
hasn't
should
read the
know.
book, so okay, so the obstacles obviously would be, growing up in poverty, and then obviously the perception of you being that number 2 next to
No,
Michael Jordan.
I think
and,
it's even different than that. I think the obstacles are growing up in a small town and trying to reach a dream that you set out for. It was something that I ran into a lot of roadblocks. I ran into things that could detour me. My brother getting paralyzed, or my father having a stroke. I could have taken a different path in life to figure out how to stay there and be in their presence. But I choose to live my dream and go for what I felt like something I could achieve and that I wanted to achieve.
Absolutely. And kind of looking back now on those achievements, where do you place yourself? I mean, you've said this a few times that you think you are as great as Michael Jordan. You think you are one of the greatest players of all time, and I would agree with you. Where do you place yourself?
Well, I'm going to say in basketball, there's no way to place yourself. You know, there's hard to place Tom Brady at the top of the NFL. Even though he's won a lot of championships, there are almost 70 players on each team. So is he playing on every side of the football? Is he on kickoff? Is he on the punt returns? Because if he ain't playing all them roles, then he got to give credit to his team. And I place myself with the greatest team that ever played in the NBA. That's where I place myself.
As you closed the book, you had that argument out loud. The Warriors.
Well, the Warriors didn't win a championship, so
The Warriors
they
are
lose
now.
the argument.
And what's the argument?
Well, the argument is the greatest team in the regular season. It was the Chicago Bulls. Now, that's a challenge for them now because they're still playing. But you can't win 73 games and lose. You can't be considered the greatest team.
Why not?
You didn't win a championship.
Yes, sir.
It's the team before you did. They're better than that team because they won a championship. But the team that won 73 games for them, that wasn't the greatest team. Something happened.
One big thing that you had talked about throughout the book was how deeply you care about your teammates, how deeply you care about the camaraderie of basketball, and how no one person can win a championship. Why did you feel the need to kind of sprinkle that throughout the book in almost every chapter, that it was the team first, not one person?
Well, I did it for several reasons. One, I did it to let the media know that, because most of the media don't know basketball. They don't understand team sport. So I did it to let them know that they were overwhelmed with the life of Michael Jordan. Great, but Michael Jordan couldn't win without himself, without his team, excuse me. But on the other hand, I wanted people to really understand that basketball is a team game, and it's always going to be run what I call a standout. The NBA used more the MVP word, but I consider it a standout. There's always going to be a standout in the crowd. In a lot of those occasions, Michael Jordan was the standout. And a lot of those occasions, he wasn't the standout, but he was chosen to be the standout.
Yeah. And you've talked a lot in this book and during this year about your relationship with the press. And even at times, it seemed like it became a bit contentious. You had called the press cheerleaders for Michael Jordan. Why is that such a big moment for you, or at least a big sticking point?
Well, I think they're all having to face the music. I think reality has set in on them. When you look back, and you look back at how great our league is, it's about great teams. It's not about any great individual. And you glorify teams. You don't glorify individuals. Now, Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, they don't play on teams. You can glorify them for their individual performance, their individual achievement, because they did it alone on the court. But deep down inside of them, they know they didn't do it alone. You know, it was somebody there hitting the ball back across to Serena. It was somebody there for Tiger, carrying his bag, whatever. So as much as you want to get around it, sports is built around team success.
Do you think we shouldn't glorify our players, though? Like when you have these amazing games in the playoffs, or albeit anyone else in the NBA and they're on team sports, should we not glorify these people?
Oh, for sure. For sure. You got to glorify them. But you have to realize that they're being glorified because of the achievement of the team. Mm-hmm. I didn't see y'all glorifying Kevin Durant when they lost and his foot was on the line. You didn't glorify his performance, did you? You know? Mm-hmm. Had he won, do you glorify him or you glorify the team? Because I didn't see in the press the next day Kevin Durant lost. You know?
I know what you mean.
But had he made that shot,
right?
Yeah, y'all would have glorified him instead of glorifying the Brooklyn Nets.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But, you know, there are moments where we have these games and we have these events where a player will, in some aspects, supersede the team. Not saying no one's passing them the ball, but you know what I mean. Yes,
and you have to do that. But I'm not just talking about that one instance. I'm talking about a documentary where, you know, someone glorified themselves. That was where I'm talking. I'm talking about the press who feels that Michael Jordan was carrying the Bulls in the 90s. Well, if my mind and my record is straight, Tony Kukoc is a Hall of Famer. Dennis Rodman is a Hall of Famer. Scottie Pippen is a Hall of Famer. And I expect somewhere down the road that Horace Grant will be a Hall of Famer.
You spoke pretty lovingly about Horace throughout the book and how y'all had a few little ups and downs and how you ended up going to the Magic, but that he was the definition of somebody who, without Horace, y'all don't win a lot of those championships, just like almost any other part of those teams.
No, we don't. I mean, winning with a team is about dedication. And there was a lot of dedication on a lot of guys' sacrifice to win those championships. And, you know, none of my championships would be possible without those guys that I just named.
I want to run through some aspects of the book, if you don't mind, because it was very compelling. And we think about those teammates, and you think about some of the other people around the league at that time. You talk about a lot of folks in this book, man. Like I said, Wasabi, you talk about a lot of folks in this book. So in the opening, there was the scene with John Paxson and how he cried on the phone for you. Tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, that was pretty much it. He called me one night during the documentary and wanted to talk, and, you know, he expressed his feelings and I expressed my feelings. And I talk about it in the book, and it was a moment where we probably hadn't talked like that since we had played together.
Yeah. How do you, and I found this interesting while reading, how do you balance the both, where you have this idea about teammates and camaraderie and what has to happen for there to be multiple championships for a team like the Chicago Bulls, but then also years have passed and you might not want to hear from Pax anymore, or you and Michael might not have the same relationship. How do you balance both of those when telling this story?
Well, I mean, it's not like we sleep in the same bed together. It's not like we live together. We've never had to do that. We've only had to be teammates. So it's very easy to balance. We all go our separate ways. We're balanced.
Did you think about these teams more as work than you did as interpersonal relationships?
Meaning
there was a distance, you know what I mean? That, you know, you came to work, you put your lunch pail down, and these are the people I see at work. And you don't love everybody at work, but you like some people at work. Was that more of how this was?
I mean, I love everybody at work.
Okay.
There's no, I love you now and this. We're going to still go our separate ways. I love you at work. We're at work. I love you. I love working with you. That don't mean we're going to be together when we leave the basketball court.
One of the biggest notes of that, and one that sticks with me, is you saying that you felt like you were nothing more than a prop when it came to that documentary, when it came to the feeling of those championship teams. Could you expand on that? Why did you feel like a prop?
Well, I felt like that it was a documentary that was not glorifying two, if not three, of the greatest players to ever play this game. That's why I felt that way.
Yes, sir. At another moment in the book, you had talked about one player's phobia of snakes. and how you would throw toy snakes at them and stuff snakes in their locker and everything like that. Why'd you do that?
For jokes, laugh, fun.
Was it fun? Was it fun to them?
Just being a kid. Yeah.
Okay.
Just being a kid. We were kids.
One big part of it was you talking about the 1994 season, and much less about the migraine and everything else, but much more about all the different notes of that season. And one of the first ones you had, you talked about how you got arrested and how it felt the same as in Chicago, the racism that was in Chicago. What did it feel like you being the man for on this team, no Michael in the background, MVP level type of talent, and then we hear about you getting arrested?
What did it feel like?
To go through that process, yeah.
It's a part of life, something that I've saw, I've been a part of, and I've witnessed it. I feel like I was just going through a situation that I had seen before. It's part of life. Yeah.
You had said that as a public figure, the reason you carried a handgun at the time was that you were an obvious target. What did you mean by that? Who were you an obvious target for?
Well, I'm a celebrity, right? So I'm an obvious target to get robbed. I'm an obvious target for a lot of things.
Well, I don't know, man. I ain't no celebrities. I don't know. I mean,
you got red hair. You got something going over there.
Pink hair, man. Come on, you see the waves spinning. So tell me a bit about one thing that was consistent in the book was that you listed a lot of your statistical figures, whether it's regular season game, playoff games. Was this sort of like historical, pickup where you wanted a different generation to know either how good you were or how those games went point by point? Why'd you do that?
It was just part of writing the book and telling the story. I wasn't really trying to pinpoint anything. Everything you want, you can Google it yourself, statistically. I mean, I do got an Instagram if I just want to profile my stats. But no, it was part of me making the book entertaining and enjoyable to read.
On your way to the All-Star MVP in 1994, you had mentioned that you had a few beers. You were playing Tonk and you had a few shots of beer, which was equivalent to maybe 3 beers before you played that game, and you were locked in. Same with a preseason game, you and Michael did the same thing. Did you do that in preseason, or how did this come about when you were playing Tonk before an All-Star game?
I think just playing Tonk before All-Star game, I was just relaxing, something that, we would do on the plane ride, traveling from city to city, the guys on the plane, and that All-Star game, I was there having nothing to do that afternoon. I started playing cards with some buddies, and we started playing for half a shot of beer, and I probably ended up drinking about 3 beers over that time. But I went out and had a great All-Star game, went out and did a little shoot around early and broke a good sweat, and I felt good about how I was shooting the ball, and I went out and shot it just as well when the game started.
Yeah. That same season, I think you ended up 3rd in MVP voting at the end of the season. You think you deserved an MVP before it was all said and done, especially when you were the key focus of those Bulls teams in '94?
I'd rather have another championship.
You got 6!
I would rather have another championship.
Why is that?
It would have been a team achievement.
As opposed to?
An individual achievement. I don't chase individual achievements.
Yes, sir.
They chase me.
Oh, hey now, that's a bar. Take that home with you. The one thing I do kind of want to bring up is that in that 94 season, a big part of it was you feeling as though you did not have enough plays run for you. That regardless of the game where you sat, that during the regular season, it'd be 2 or 3 games you'd have plays run for you. Or in the playoffs, you were the main facilitator and you were the key to the offense and the engine. Did that bother you at all that for the first time, here you were, the sole engine of the team, you were a team's person, and you weren't getting the same respect?
No, I don't think it bothered me. I think that the 94, part of the 95 was probably some of my most funnest season. We were very good from a team standpoint. We're very unpredictable. And it was just an enjoyable time to play the game. Probably some of the most fun I'd had since being in the NBA.
The talk about you in that championship that wasn't there. You brought that up in terms of, I think it was either the 99 or the 2000 Portland Trail Blazers. How you were this close to getting that final sweep in the Western Conference Finals. How much do you think about that now, almost 22 years later, about that missed opportunity that you say in the book was a big missed opportunity?
I don't think about it at all. Like
No.
you said, I got 6, so I'm not thinking about the 7 that I didn't get. I mean, I could have memories of a lot of them that I didn't get, but I don't go back and think about it ever.
Never.
No.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For somebody who has had, as you detail in the book, such a back-and-forth relationship with the press, you leaked a trade rumor in 1994 about Dan Majuro. Why'd you go about doing that?
I leaked it. I'm not sure if I'm the one leaked it. Someone had to tell me. So at that point, that's a leak there, isn't it?
Well, you had said that you were the one who, made up the rumor and you gave it out to the press.
Kind of put it out there a little bit,
Just a little bit?
I knew how the press would take stuff and run with it. So I just let them play a little cat and mouse game. I mean, they had me on the trading blocks anyway, so why not play with it?
That was one of the 2 main things that came up with your Bulls tenure. Consistently underpaid for being such a devastating player in terms of how good you were. And consistently, every year, Jerry Krause is a trade rumor, there's a trade rumor, there's a trade rumor, to the point where you're ready to go to the Boston Celtics, you're ready to go to the Lakers, you're ready to go to a bunch of teams. Did that hinder at all your play or how you went about the game for all of those seasons?
No, I don't think it hindered me at all,
Not even 1%?
No. I mean, none of those trades came to fruition. I never felt like that I was going to be traded, to be honest.
As much as you love Chicago, you never wanted to leave?
No, I really didn't, even after the last dance. But I think everything that had been played up until that last season, I knew that, I was going to be leaving. But, it would have been great to play for one team and finish my career. But I knew along the way that wasn't going to happen.
In all of your famous battles throughout the 90s, who was the one team that you enjoyed beating up on a little bit? Yeah, see, the wheel's turning.
NYC.
The Knicks?
I can't say. Y'all got 2 teams here now.
Look, I'm going to say the Knicks. That's fine. What was it about Pat Riley and those rough and tumble Knicks teams that you enjoyed beating? It feels like every time you kind of came to the Garden and got one, it felt like a little bit of a turn of the knife.
Well, I mean, the Knicks were a great team in the 90s. They were just as good as the Bulls. They felt like that it was their time to win. So it was always great, playing here. This is the Mecca of basketball. Great fans, great knowledge of the game. And it was just always a fun place to play. And, we were the team that was able to keep them down. The Detroit Pistons kept us down for a numerous amount of years before we were able to overcome them. And the Knicks was able to overcome us, finally, and get to the finals.
Yeah. Do you think, I feel like we were remiss without saying this because we are in New York, you think the Knicks got what it takes to get back this year?
Man, you're really putting me on the spot.
I'm trying to.
I mean, when you say get back, where are they trying to get back to? To a first-round exit?
To any level of greatness.
I mean, I like the coach. I like the enthusiasm of the other players, but I don't think that they're a team that's ready to get deep into the playoffs. I definitely think they're going to finish in the top 8 teams, and probably be in this little playoff thing that they have. But it's Milwaukee, it's Brooklyn, it's Toronto, it's Miami to me.
Not Philly. Come on, Scottie. Not Philly.
Philly?
Philly.
Nah, I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to need Ben Simmons, or they're going to need to get a nice piece for him.
Yeah.
But, I don't think that they're going to be a team that we can be talking about that's going to be playing in the Eastern Conference Finals.
That hurts right here. As a Philadelphia, that kills me right here.
Well, you better go start talking to Ben.
Let me run through some names for you that came up in the book a few times. Obviously, let's start with the big one, Isaiah Thomas. You had some choice words for Isaiah that, him and the dream team, that it was no surprise that he was not going to be there because of how you build team chemistry. Have you talked to Isaiah since the book tour or anything at all? Have y'all mended anything, or is it still the same?
I don't recall talking to Isaiah a day since I've been on this earth.
Not one time?
No.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Clyde Drexler. When y'all played the Portland Trailblazers, and also when he was on that dream team, you said that he kind of stunk up the room, that he, his attitude was not right for the dream team. Why so many shots at Clyde?
I wasn't really taking shots at him. I was just sort of expressing what it was like on the dream team. That wasn't taking a shot at him. It was just to say that, here's a guy we had just beaten. Mm-hmm. He was still a little bit bitter. That's what I stated in the book. And he had a right to be, Yeah, he's coming in, he's playing for an Olympic gold medal, but his childhood dream has just passed him by, an opportunity to win a championship. So when I say that, I didn't mean it in a bad way. I mean, I like Clyde. I'm a friend of his, but I just know that he had a chip on his shoulders, and he should have had a chip, Michael was getting all the praises, for, being better than him in terms where Portland had a chance to win Michael. He felt like he really kind of stuck it to him by beating him and showing that he was better than him. Again, bringing home another MVP trophy, probably from that season as well as during that finals. So it was a little bit weird being around Clyde. I can say that. I was the lesser of the greaters.
Who said you don't think you were the lesser of the greatest?
Well, I was the youngest player on that team, other than
Christian Laettner.
Christian Laettner,
who you also thought should not be on that team.
Well, I didn't think that, but I was kind of feeling that I was very fortunate to be a part of the first team, knowing that I was a younger player. Yeah, there was other players, but again, it was about the chemistry of the team working. I fitted that criteria.
Last name for you. Everybody's favorite, Charles Barkley. Have you, now you and Charles supposed to be good now.
We are good, man. What's up? I am good with Charles,
I mean, y'all had that infamous moment where, you told Charles, you'd whip him. So.
You know what? When I went to Houston, me and Charles Barkley, we decided we was going to work out, we was going to train together. I brought a trainer up from Chicago, Tim Grover, who had been training me and Michael for years. And Tim was willing to train us and do all this stuff throughout the season under my pay. And
under your money?
Under my money. And that deal lasts for about maybe a week and a half, maybe two. I'm gonna give him 2 weeks.
Give him 2. That's fine. Look at you. You generous. 2 weeks.
We had a little routine. We get up in the morning. We meet at the club. We work out. We go to practice or eat breakfast, whatever. And Charles stayed on that regimen for about 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, he started calling the trainer when he was at the gym, saying he wasn't coming. Can we train a little bit later in the afternoon, blah, blah, blah. And that went on. And then the next time, it's like, I ain't training today. So, he started selling out on me, I never told this. He started selling out on me in terms of our working out, and then he started getting a trainer to kind of work him out on his own time, which wasn't the deal. And now, I talk with Tim. I'm like, Tim, he got you working double, blah, blah, blah. Tim was cool with it. I didn't mind. But at the end of the day, the results that I got from playing with the Houston Rockets that season wasn't satisfactory to me.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you one more thing, and we're going to go to a Q&A. And
sure.
If y'all are watching live, please go ahead and throw in some questions in the Q&A portion. We got to get our man Scottie sweating a little bit now.
Yeah, you got me sweating a lot. Can I get a towel?
And when you look back now, obviously 6 championships, a few opportunities to get more, and you say that is what you would rather have instead of an individual trophy. Which of those championships do you think about most fondly?
Meaning, which one?
Which one of those 6?
Do I think about, meaning?
The most fond, like you're most fond of. You go back to it.
I would say the first one.
The first
one?
one?
I would say playing against the Lakers. You know, if you're going to win a championship, in my eye, you got to go through the Lakers. Especially in the era that I grew up. It was about the Celtics, Showtime Lakers. You know, those were the teams that you saw in the finals every year. And not to say that I would diminish my title had we not played the Lakers. It was fun playing against Magic. You know, it was fun playing against Worthy, Hall of Famers, great players that, you know, you looked at pretty much your whole career and respected the craft and what they had put into the game. To be able to play them in the finals, you know that the stage couldn't be any bigger. You're in Los Angeles, you're playing at the Forum. It was the greatest thing ever.
It seemed like you revered Magic at one point, saying, you know, he was the peak of masculinity, and that when Michael was not there in those 94 Bulls teams, that you were the Magic Johnson of that team. You're the most complete all-around player on that basketball team. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I really idolized Magic as a player, as a young kid growing up. I watched how he played the game, how he ran his team, how he controlled them, both from the offensive standpoint as well as on the defensive standpoint. You know, he was a leader on both ends of the court, very vocal, and I learned a lot and picked up a lot of his habits as to how he ran a team.
But do you still think you were the most complete player the Bulls had at that time?
The most complete player, I can't say the.
That's
I
what
mean,
you
Michael
said,
Jordan is a complete player himself, no doubt about it. Tony Kukoc is a complete player himself. Which years are you talking about? We were all complete players.
94.
That's why
94.
we won. I played with Tony. He was a complete player. And let me get this straight. When I told Phil that about that 1.8 seconds, it was really about I didn't want to take the ball out. Like, I'm a Nick killer. You're going to make me take the ball out? I didn't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah. Let's go ahead to some of these questions, man. Let's take some of the sweat
Right.
off you. Michael D., did having so many brothers and sisters impact how you approach the team and creating a dynamic energy that was the Bulls?
I think it had a lot to do with it. You understand what it was being in a big family. You understood the team concept. You understood sharing. You understood caring. You understood sacrifice. You understood dedication. All the things that it takes for a team to win.
Shouts to Callie B. I watched Katie Courage talk shop last week, and she felt like the media took lines of her book out of context. Do you feel like people take your MJ lines out of context?
I think they try to, but I am such a professional
Big
at
pro.
answering questions and dealing with the media that I drive them down the road that I want them to go down.
All right. Hey, look.
But yes,
I ain't gonna question
to
you on
answer
that.
that question, yes, it's all about me and Michael and how they can drain more out of me and get more drip so they can have something to headline tomorrow.
Harvey L., shout out to you, big fella. Did you hang out with Dennis Rodman off the court? And as a man with pink hair, I also would like to know, did you hang out with Dennis Rodman off the court?
For sure. I mean, I still hang with Dennis. I still enjoy Dennis today as
You and
much
Dennis
as I
kicking
did
it?
as a teammate. We kick it differently. We're both older and we're more professional now, but we still enjoy seeing each other doing well and just communicating. That camaraderie grew strong when me and Dennis came together. You know, he became a man, I matured as a man, and, you know, today we're friends.
Man, I love to hear that. Jonathan W., who's the best teammate you've ever played with, and or the best teammate that you wish you could have played with?
Well, the best teammate I ever played with is Michael Jordan. There's no doubt about that. Come on, I'm gonna say that all day, every day. The one teammate that I wish I could have played with and I didn't play with was Kobe Bryant.
There was a famous clip of, and RIP Kobe, there was a famous clip of Kobe watching you and watching your footwork while he was in the gym. I think it was in maybe 2002 or 2004. And he didn't watch you dribble. He didn't watch you do anything. He just watched your foot speed over and over and over again. I think there was a moment where Phil Jackson had brought you in to do a little bit of coaching on the side and how y'all had built a rapport. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Kobe really idolized the way that I played the game, the way that I defended, and a lot of it he started to call me after I retired and to ask questions about different situations, how you would guard certain people, what kind of footwork would you do this, what would you do in this situation, just picking your brain to enhance his ability out on the basketball court. He was a great student of the game, and he would ask me questions about how would I guard Michael in this situation, this and that, and just trying to improve his craft.
Marcella R., is there anything you left out of the book that you wish you would have put in?
Well, there's always things that you leave out, and
Well, go ahead and give me one.
no, you leave them out for a reason.
Absolutely. Shout out to Jen. What was the team dynamics like on the Bulls when no one else was around?
When no one else was around,
When the cameras
me and
wasn't in there?
media, it was great. It was always a great camaraderie when there was no cameras around. That's the best time, is when there's no cameras around. Everybody is calm. Nobody is faking it. Nobody's having to put up for the camera or have to, pretend.
Let me challenge you on that a little bit, because you had said in the book, obviously, that when Tony Kukoc came to the team in '94 and when Michael finally came back, that y'all would be getting on Tony a lot. And equally that Michael, when you came to the team, when others came to the team, had to set the standard of what the Chicago Bulls were. So it couldn't have been great all the time, right?
Wait. When Michael came to the team,
When Michael came back
I
to the
already
team after
had
retirement.
2 years with those players. So it wasn't about me having to get on those players. Michael had to tolerate those players and what they could and could not do. It wasn't about me adjusting to them or having to get on them. I had been with those players for 18 months since he had retired.
What about when you came in and he had to get on you, or any of the newer players around that time, 89, 90?
He never had that kind of chance to get on me like that. Like when I was drafted as a young player, he was still a young player too. So we were kind of battling and learning together and growing together. I think you're referring to when Michael came back, the other players and how his presence sort of came in, and
They wanted him to sign jerseys. They wanted him to sign sneakers, all that type of stuff.
They probably wanted that, but he wasn't going to do all that.
Amy, favorite up-and-coming player currently? Or give me a few now. I got some time if you want to give me a few.
Favorite up-and-coming player? I like Devin Booker. I mean, I don't know if he's a up-and-coming player, but, I mean, I think he's a player that's going to be exciting to watch. His growth and development is continuing to get better. Reminds me a lot of a guy like Kobe, who's, a efficient scorer and a guy that wants to score.
Joey V, which player did you hate to play against the most?
Nobody.
Nobody.
I didn't have no player I hated to play against. So I made them think that I'm the player they don't want to play against.
Not Gary Payton, nobody like that.
Too little.
Too little.
Yeah. He about 6'4". I'm 6'7".
Okay. I hope Gary don't take no umbrage with saying you too little.
I mean, Gary played big, but he was still too little.
Henrietta, hello, Mr. Pippen. No matter what's happened, so much respect for your talent. Is there one thing you could do over? What would it be?
Win a championship in Portland.
See, we done found our way back. We done found our way back. See, there you go, man.
But no, my career was great. There's nothing to do over. I got 6 titles. I was part of some of the greatest teams, and I was able to walk away from the game healthy. So there's no reason for me to go back and change anything.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We still got time for a little bit more questions, so if y'all got any lingering things, y'all better drop them in. Come on. We need Scottie to sweat just an ounce more. Just an ounce more.
Y'all better be hitting that buy button. Bye.
Do you have any regrets? Obviously, like you did things very specifically. You know, when you did not like a trade rumor, you went out to the press and you said that. When you felt like you were being taken advantage of, you made it clear. You were transparent with all of these things. Do you wish you did things differently by any chance?
No, because if I didn't say what I said, then I may have some regrets. But I got it out.
Mm-hmm. See, look, you did good on that. Well, okay, Henrietta, she back. She like you.
I see.
Would you ever consider coaching? You talked about this a little bit, but would you ever consider coaching?
Yes, I would, but I don't know if I would ever do it now.
Why not now?
I'm more focused on my kids, my sons,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that they continue to grow in the game.
I know you had mentioned that. I think you had gotten an offer to coach from your alma mater, and you just didn't want to uproot your family. Tell me a little bit about that. You have 5 kids, right? Or 4 kids?
Well, I got 3 boys. I got 5. I just didn't want to leave my kids. I felt like I was at a stage in my life where I was helping them to grow and helping them to develop. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to take them out of their environment and make a selfish move on my part when, I think it's more about them now and not me.
This is a different one for you. You might like this one. What is your current golf handicap, and what's your favorite part about the game?
I don't really keep a handicap. I would be guessing. I'm probably about a 12. What's my favorite thing about the game? Just relaxing. I don't put any pressure on myself. The expectations of playing, I could have a bad round or a good round. I could play to a 12 handicap or I could play to a 20. It doesn't really matter to me. I just like being outdoors and being able to relax.
Yeah. Harlem B, shout out to you. Without naming your point guard in Houston, could that team have won a title with you, Chuck, and Clyde?
Well, Clyde wasn't on that team, but I like their question. We could have won a championship in that short season, I felt like. I felt like that we didn't prepare enough. We didn't have enough on the court time together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That Houston thing, it's interesting to me because, y'all, it felt contentious. It felt like you wanted so much out of that organization. You wanted so much out of Charles Barkley, and y'all just couldn't reach the apex. And you talk about Portland a lot, but you don't really go back to Houston. Is there any reason for that?
Well, there's nothing to go back for. I mean, I was there for the 50-game season, and, I'm going to put an asterisk beside it because I don't even want people to even remember me being there. It was really not a full season.
You don't want people to remember that you were a Houston Rocket?
No, I didn't. It was bad for my everything,
All right. Malika W., and I hope I'm saying your name right. What do you think of the new foul rules?
What's the new fouls, man?
How we incentivize, offensive players to have a bigger game, and
I don't even know what the rules are, even though I heard Draymond Green say that he likes what they've done. I know that players used to run and get fouls just, on purpose, even if the defense is just standing there. But I don't know, so I can't elaborate on the new rules because I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Trey, what did your best pregame playlist look like, and who are your musical inspirations?
My best pregame playlist. I didn't really listen to a lot of music in the locker room. I mean, I like to listen to Frankie Beverly Mays. I'm a little more old school, come function. Like I'm in there chilling.
All right, now if you think you're sweating, go ahead and put your seatbelt on. You're gonna sweat on this one.
Come on.
All right, Nikki, how was it having your relationship with Larsa picked apart in the public eye?
How was it picked apart?
How was it having your relationship with Larsa picked apart in the public eye? Obviously, there were rumors of Future and the young NBA player and everything like that.
I don't think that it was picked apart. I think the relationship was already over. I think the press caught the end of it and was able to try and plug it together.
Yeah. That didn't bother you at all, that what the press had did in that case to piece the rest of it together?
The press bothers you a lot, but do it really bother me? No. That's what they do. They create press.
We are winding down, so let me ask you one last thing, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You have spoken a lot about how much impact you want to have on the current generation of